MMA offers many ways to end a fight, and each fighter looks for his own route. However, the most effective are those who turn off the lights of their opponent with one shot. And what better way to turn off the lights than a powerful head kick? That's why today we're covering some new and old but iconic. Islam Makhachev put under concrete any doubt regarding the first match with Alexander Volkanovski. Although the result was controversial, Dagestani showed that he's not only a wrestler but also a striker whose skill is increasing from match to match. And at UFC 294, he proved it. Islam was ready for Oliveira, but as a replacement, he got Volkanovski without any training camp. Instead of tiring out a physically unprepared opponent and overpowering him for 25 minutes, Islam took an effective shortcut to victory. The plan was clear: take out Volk as soon as possible. And the high kick that made it possible was by no means accidental, but planned. Makachev immediately threatened with low and middle kicks to occupy Alexander by targeting the lower extremities. All he needed was to send the next kick to the opponent's head and finish the match with additional shots. And Volkanovski, who was expecting another strong middle kick, remained lying with a bloody head. UFC 278, Kamaru Usman vs. Leon Edwards 2. The second fight between Usman and Edwards at UFC 278 had it all. A title on the line, a legendary rematch, and a last-minute plot twist that saw Leon go home with the title and the performance of the night bonus. After being entirely dominated by Usman for the second time, the one-sided fight took Leon further away from victory with each passing minute. Dissatisfaction was present in Edwards' corner after each round, but Leon had no answer against the dominant Kamaru. Easy money, Henry Cejudo said to Usman's manager, Ali Abdelaziz, who he was standing cage side with. A minute remained until the end, and Leon had to act quickly. Following the legendary comment of John Anik, "That is not the cloth from which he is cut," Rocky served a high kick and ended the fight a minute before the end of a certain defeat. A well-practiced high kick was all it took to shut down the champion and take the welterweight title home to England. Joe Rogan: "What Leon did was perfect. It was the perfect high kick. You can't take a thing away from him. He is losing the fight. It's for the title. He shows him the left and hits him with a perfect high kick." UFC 291, Dustin Poirier vs. Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje is a bad man with a difficult task at UFC 291 to take out another bad man, Dustin Poirier. With the BMF title and a lightweight title shot on the line, the boys brought the violence for the second time. Intentions were felt on both sides, and blows were thrown, heavy punches and kicks. As always, Gaethje began to destroy the front leg of Dustin with the most dangerous low kicks in the game, while Poirier applied the pressure by controlling the center of the octagon. Dustin had his chance when he stunned Gaethje in the first round, but failed to finish, leaving Justin with a cut over his left eye. Heads could have been taken off at the end of the first round, but luckily, the bell rang. A competitive match comes to an end at the beginning of the second round when Justin Gaethje throws an out-of-nowhere high kick and completely shuts down Dustin, flattening him on the canvas. In addition to the belt and the opportunity for the title, Gaethje had the honor of knocking out Dustin, who had not been knocked out since 2016, and avenged the loss from 2018. UFC 238, Valentina Shevchenko vs. Jessica Eye. The co-main event at UFC 238 had the honor of being headlined by two experienced female fighters in a match for the flyweight belt. Champion Valentina Shevchenko versus challenger Jessica Eye. Judging by the heavy and frequent middle kicks Valentina threw at the beginning of the match, a knockout could be expected. The murderous striker still decided to take the fight to the ground and spent most of the round there. The round ended with a submission attempt by Valentina from the crucifix position and an attractive scramble by Jessica with an excellent reversal. Shevchenko continued to threaten with destructive and clean kicks to the opponent's body in the second round. And at the very beginning, after 3 middle kicks, the champion changed the target. Instead of the body, Valentina aimed at the head and removed Jessica from the fight unconscious. The bullet lives up to her name, justifies her kickboxing record at 57 wins, and perfectly defends the title for the first time, but also shows the mentality of a champion when she declares concern about her opponent. Valentina, I feel great. I didn't have to fight 5 rounds, but at the same time, I am very worried about Jessica. I hope she's okay. Tough. Stephen Thompson versus Jake Ellenberger. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is a karate and kickboxing master without whom any kicking videos would not be complete. During his climb through the welterweight rankings, Stephen collected quality victories against fighters such as McDonald, Hendricks, and Whitaker. Thompson was pitted against Jake Ellenberger in the main event of the night of The Ultimate Fighter in 2015. Wonderboy has always wowed viewers with his performances, bringing his fighting style to the UFC that has not been seen often in the octagon. But Jake wasn't impressed. Jake, this is going to be a one-sided beatdown. I am not extremely worried about him. Karate. That's funny, said the overconfident Jake about his opponent, but little did he know, Wonderboy didn't even need the whole round to finish the job. Stephen immediately showed his flashy kicks and precise punches. Jake managed to knock him down in one of the exchanges, but failed to finish the job. After the recovery, Stephen decided to punish the opponent, who still had no solution for his kicks, even throwing him into a knockdown with one spinning kick. Jake managed to get up again, only to be finished off with another effective spinning kick that folded him. Karate. Looks like it's not that funny after all. UFC on Fox. Stephen Thompson versus Dan Stittgen. Speaking of Wonderboy, his 2012 debut should not be forgotten. Dan Stittgen was the unlucky opponent that night to meet Wonderboy in his UFC debut. With his kicks, Thompson did an excellent job of keeping his opponent at the desired distance. Dan obviously didn't know how to face an opponent who was confusing him by his fast movements. The World Kickboxing Champion tore Stittgen apart piece by piece with carefully chosen and precise shots without any rush, taking advantage of every opportunity. Although he kept his hands low, Wonderboy proved to be an impossible target to hit, and his pace and distance were supreme. After the patient first round and a lot of calculations and measurements, Stephen found the hole. A minute before the end, he throws a 1-2 combination, which he follows from an amazing angle with a high kick over Dan's shoulder, which the opponent doesn't see, knocking him out cold and introducing himself to the UFC. It's the strike you don't see that gets you. UFC 142, Edson Barboza versus Etym. Edson Barboza has been a faithful UFC fighter for over a decade, and even at 37, he is ready to enter the octagon with any fighter they give him. The record holder in Fight of the Night bonuses has finished many opponents relying on his lethal kicks. The competition he faced in the UFC is formidable, and Barboza deserves nothing less than respect. In his third appearance at UFC 142, the undefeated Barboza faces Etym. The fight was decorated with Edson's brutal leg kicks, painful for the spectators as well. Terry found his success in superb jabs and takedown attempts, which Edson defended very well. Both of them showed good boxing technique. In the second round, Barboza caught the rhythm and increased the pressure with low kicks, destroying the opponent's leg. Terry, due to punishing leg kicks, didn't have a stable front leg, and every time he stood in front of the opponent without action, Barboza would act. The difference in striking force was huge, and Edson eventually started to take the lead. Finally, halfway through the third round, Barboza delivers one of the most legendary knockouts with a spinning wheel high kick that shuts down Etym, instantly collapsing him. UFC 162. Anderson Silva versus Vitor Belfort. Rogan. When Anderson was in his prime, he was a magician. There was something about him, man. He had this unstoppable aura. He was so at peace and so calm, and he would smile at guys. In a sea of superb head kicks, it would be a shame not to remind new MMA fans how it was done a decade ago. We're going to relive an old school knockout made possible by the legendary and unmatchable Anderson the Spider Silva. In one of his many title defenses, Anderson faced compatriot Vitor Belfort. Fight fans, the high-level head kicks that will echo through eternity. Get ready for what's to come, because we're sure to have more quality head kick knockouts in the fights to come, and even more quality content from us.